Hi everybody, it's Lee here with a quick refresher reminder before you dig into giving the structuring assessment. One thing just to review before we go into like the whole big thing is the rec and rec. So you're going to want to start with the one row rec and rec because you're going to start in with asking the questions within 10, and then you might either move within 5 or then you'll grab the 2 row rec and rec when you go into the within 20 questions. So the white beads should always be on the child's right side. Depending on which side you like to be sitting next to the child on will determine kind of what the setup looks like. For me, I usually tend to have the child sit on my left side. It's just a little bit easier so that I can keep track of my notes with my right hand and kind of the student and all the materials are over to the left. So with that being said, all of the beads are slidden so that the white beads are on the child's right side. And I'm going to slide over the red beads kind of first. So I use the envelope as the screen. So when I'm doing it with the child, all the beads are slid over. I slide over what I'm going to ask them about, and then this slides over to the side. And so they're seeing the 3, and then they're telling me that the 7 is what is hidden. So that's just kind of a thing. You might want to practice that and refresh your memory before you give the assessment. So I'm going to kind of switch my screens over here for a second. Sorry about that little glitch there. So a couple of reminders with the assessment for structuring. You're going to start off with all of those spatial patterns with the dot pattern. So make sure they're kind of in the correct order in your stack before you start flipping them. So that way that what you're recording and what you're scoring here is matching up with what the kid is actually seeing. So that first box is if they get it right or wrong. So if they said 5, you would write a 5 right in this box. And then the strategy is either they know it or they're counting. So either a K, if they just know it right away. And then sometimes you will see them kind of repicture those dots and you'll see them kind of moving and try counting them. So that's when you're going to put a C. So you have all of your cards here. Then you're going to move into finger patterns. So show me 4, show me 3, show me 9, show me 6, and show me 8. You can just put a check here if they get it correct, and a K for knowing, and a C for counting again. Down in this next part, you're going to ask them to show you 5 on their finger. So if they show you 5 all like that, you can just write the number 5 in that box. You don't have to draw the fingers. But if that works for you, go ahead. You can draw the fingers too. This really, the assessment is for you and so that you gain knowledge about your students and kind of where you're going to go next. And then you're going to ask them to show you 5 in another way. So you're either going to see like the 3 and 2 pattern or 4 and 1 patterns. And that's when you're going to kind of write like, you can write 4/ or 4+1, however you want to record that in here. Again, the thing that we're really, really paying attention to is whether or not they are counting or they just know these. So if they have to really look at their fingers and think about it and put them up one at a time and then show you, that's counting. So we really were looking for them to not be counting within any of these finger patterns here. So make sure that you are noting if they are counting. If they can only show you one way, you can reprompt them again. Can you show me some on this hand and some on this hand, like in a different way? A lot of times they'll show you 5 and 2, and then they're just going to switch and show you 5 and 2 the other way. So you can repeat to them and say, okay, you showed me 5 and 2, and then 2 and 5. Can you show me a completely different way with other fingers? And then this is where you move into the rec and rec work. And so if we kind of look at the whole page, just going to start hopefully coming back to you a little bit. This first part where we start is within 10. And so if they're not successful within 10, we're going to move up the page and look to see if they're successful within 5. If they are successful within 10, then we're going to move kind of down the page to see if they're successful within 20. The first page is looking at their structuring within those different areas with a setting, so with the rec and rec. So they actually have something that they can see here. So we're seeing if they can do it with that. So in the beginning part, you're going to show them. Remember, we have the white beads on the right. So you are going to be showing them the 8 beads. How many do you see? And how many are hiding? You're going to write down in this first box, there's a lot of boxes here. This first box right here is for how many do you see. So put a check if they say 8. You're going to put a 7 if they say 7 beads, a 9 if they say 9 beads. If they just knew it, they saw it, they told you 8 beads, you put a K. If they had to physically count it, so some kids are going to physically touch it with their finger, or even if you see they're kind of head bobbing and they're counting, you have to write a C here. This is for that initial what they can see of the beads, those 8 that you're showing them. This next box here is how many they think are hiding. So if they get it correct, you're just going to put an X there. If they give you a different number, you're just going to put whatever number they say in this box. And then again, if they do any counting, you must put a C here. If they just do the answer, put a K. That repeats for all of these here. If they're unsuccessful, if there's any counting, even if they get all of these correct, they had to count, you need to move up the page. You're going to do the same setting again. But this time, make sure you establish that we're just talking about the 5 red beads. So say that to them several times. And then when you ask the questions, how many red beads do you see? How many red beads are hiding? I know it says black on your assessment schedule, but the rec and recs that you have are red and white. Okay. If they are successful here, let's cross our fingers. I'm hoping that we'll have a lot of kids successful this time around. Then you're going to move to the 2-row rec and rec. And you're going to ask all of these questions. How many on the top? How many on the bottom? How many all together? And remember that the white beads need to be on the child's right. So if I'm showing them, this is what they're seeing. And they want to see that there's 8 on the top, 8 on the bottom, and then 16 all together. Again, really looking out for that counting piece. We don't want them to be counting in any of this stuff. Okay, now you're going to flip to that last page. Again, it's broken up just like the other one, where you have within 10 in the middle, above it is within 5, and below it is within 20. So we're making those same decisions. If they're solid within 10, we want to go down the page and check within 20. If they're not solid within 10, we want to go up the page and check within 5. All of these are without the rec and rec, so make sure that you use this to cover up your rec and recs. You put it off to the side because they will try and use that again to count. So make sure that those are hidden when you're asking these questions. And you're asking them, I'm going to say a number, you tell me the number that goes with it to make 10 for this first section. Again, this first box is their response, so if they get it correct, just put a check. And then here's their strategy. Did they count or did they just know it? If there's any counting in here, you need to move up to the top of the page and check within 5. Now, when you go to score it, remember this description is all the things a child can do. So if there's one piece of this that they can't do, then you're going to score them the score above it. Okay, so let's say that they could do the regular spatial patterns, but they couldn't do the irregular, then they're going to be up here, they're going to be a 0. They have to be able to do all of those descriptions within that category to be that level. If you have any questions when it comes to the scoring piece, or if you score something and you want a second set of eyes to see if you scored it the same way, just shoot me an email or we can touch base at some point and we can go through those. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. I hope this is helpful as you're refreshing your memory, and I promise after you do the first couple of students, it's going to come all flowing back to you and it's going to be a lot easier. All right, good luck.